Sound rolling.
Camera 1.
Rolling.
Camera 2. Rolling.
My name is Cynthia Garza, and I'm the Senior Program Manager for Public Engagement and Evaluation in the Stone Center. And I guess my primary responsibilities are community outreach. So I work with any community organizations and primarily K through 12 educators. So I'm planning teacher workshops, trips abroad for teachers. We have an America's Book Award that I'll be the co-chair of. That awards the children's middle grade or YA book written by a Latin American author each year. I came to Tulane in 2000, and what brought me to Tulane was graduate school. I was a first generation college student, and I had been in New Orleans previously because I came on a music scholarship to Loyola, actually. Didn't expect to be back here in New Orleans. I was working in Washington, D.C. With the D.C. Immigrant Coalition, and I applied to grad school and decided to move back to New Orleans. The offer from Tulane was great, and I was really excited about working with some of the professors here. So I was at Tulane, I did my master's here, and I did PhD coursework. And then I had been teaching before, I was teaching previously, and while I was at Tulane, I worked at Warren Easton High School as a teacher. We created a program called the Latin American Immersion Project, and it was partly to create Latin American content in high school classrooms, but it was also retention because the biggest Latinx population at the time in Orleans Parish was at Warren Easton High School. So after that, I was kind of feeling a call to go back to teaching secondary, and that's what I decided to do. So then I spent about 20 years in the classroom teaching mostly middle school. And then, I had been attending teacher workshops here in the Stone Center. I traveled to Cuba with the teacher program in 2017. So I had kept up with the Stone Center ever since while I was teaching. And then when I found out that the position was open, I got really excited because I'd kind of had my eye on the public engagement position for a while. I think that the Stone Center's interdisciplinary approach to studying Latin America has impacted the way that I teach. I was teaching at a school that had a very European-heavy curriculum, so I was interested in internationalizing social studies first of all, and also incorporating the study of, indigenous peoples and just Latin America in general. But I also had to think through how to create, cross-pollinating curriculum with social studies and ELA. And so I think that my preparation in the Stone Center and my years of teaching Latin American Studies, which at the time was Latin American Studies 101, really prepared me for that. A standout memory is a course that I taught about 10 years ago. I taught a course called Performing the Latin American City, which was connected to my dissertation topic at the time. And I had a great group of undergrads who I'm still in contact with today. It was a really intimate class. They even costumed for the final exam just because we were reading a lot about performativity. Some of them wore wigs to the exam. So that's definitely a standout memory. And like I said, I'm still in contact with them today. I've become close friends with a couple of them, and I've watched how their careers have developed, since they've graduated with their Latin American Studies degrees. So that's definitely a standout memory. Some of the people that come to mind when I think about the Stone Center at Tulane, or Latin American Studies at Tulane, are Timmons Roberts. Timmons taught a course on the sociology of globalization at the time. He's not here anymore, but that definitely impacted how I thought about the world. And I was older, sounds strange now because I was 28 at the time, but I was older than the rest of my cohort. I was coming back after having worked for a few years, been in the field. And so he really made me feel like what I had to say and the experience that I'd had between undergrad and graduate school was valuable. I also just really loved his book, which we have on display here. I would say Ana López for sure. She was still teaching when I came here, and she was a huge influence in just me deciding to stick with Latin American Studies. So those two definitely, I think, were my biggest, or who I think about when I think of Latin American studies at Tulane. One word that, for me, that describes the legacy of the Stone Center would be indebted. I think the Stone Center is indebted to a lot of peoples and communities and histories that have inspired our work for centuries. So I think that now is an important time to reflect on that. You know, without these communities, we wouldn't be here and our work wouldn't be here. So I think I would say indebted. Yeah. Thanks.